Hello everyone and welcome to a new video on our channel English Bridge. I'm Usama. In today's lesson we're going to talk about one of the most important tenses in English, which is present simple tense. I say it's important because we use it a lot in our daily life conversation, when we talk to our friends, with family, we use it a lot. And if you are new to English, this is the first tense that you will learn when you are studying English or when you are learning English. Stay with us. Hi again. As we said, we're going to talk about present simple today. Now, before we start talking about present simple, let's take a general look at tenses in English. In English, we have three tenses, which are present, past, and future. Present, past, and future. Each one of these tenses is divided into four different tenses. So, in present, we have present simple, present continuous, present perfect, and present perfect continuous. And the same apply for past and future. So in total we have 12 tenses in English. Now, what differentiates between these tenses? What is the difference between present simple and present continuous? Present simple, present perfect, present simple, past simple. The differences are in three main points. Number one is the form. When we make a sentence in using each of these tenses, we should be careful about how we make it. For example, present simple, it starts with a subject followed by verb. Past simple start with a subject followed by verb too. So the difference is in the verb. Always we have subject followed by verb, but the verb is different from one tense to another. This is number one. Number two is the usage. Why we use present simple, why we use present continuous, present perfect. So we should learn these uses in order to be able to speak them. When we are talking, we should be careful about why we are using present simple, why we are using past continuous, etc. And the last point is the clues. We have certain words or some words in English. So when you are thinking about, for example, you're going to say something and there is that word, immediately you will use the tense that we use this word with. For example, we have a word like everyday. Everyday describes routines. So when we describe routines, we use present simple. All right? So you immediately know that you should use present simple. And the same for other tenses too. Now let's start with the present simple tense. As we talked before, every tense in English starts with the subject followed by verb, subject and verb. In present simple tense, we have two forms. Form number one comes with I, they, you, we. Form number two comes with he, she, it. So let's talk about the first form first. As we said, when we have I, they, you, we at the beginning of the sentence, or we have any plural noun, like my parents, my brothers, my sisters, my friends, Ahmad and Sami, etc., we use a verb in its normal form, infinitive form. We don't add anything to the verb, we don't add ing, we don't add s, we don't add ed, nothing. So for example, we say, I work for a British company. I work for a British company. Here I is the subject and work is the verb. As you can see, work doesn't we don't add anything to that verb. We don't have ing, we don't have s, we have nothing. Another example, you walk fast. You walk fast. As you can see again, you is the subject, walk is the verb. It's the infinitive verb. Another example, they live in a big flat. They live in a big flat. They, subject, live, verb. And the last sentence, we study English in London. We study English in London. We is the subject, study is the verb, and the complement. Now, these sentences are in the positive form. If I want to say these sentences, but in the negative form, with not, how can we change that? The answer is we add don't after the subject before the verb. So as you see, in positive, we have subject followed by verb. In negative, we have subject. After subject, we have don't, and after don't, we have the verb. So a sentence like, I work for a British company. If I want to say it in the negative, we say, I don't work for a British company. They live in a big flat. They don't live in a big flat. We study English in London. Negative, we don't study English in London. And the last sentence, you walk fast. My brother, for example, my friend walks a little bit slow. So we say, I tell him, you don't walk fast. So this is the negative form. So we finished with positive and we finished with negative. What left is questions. As we talked before or early in other videos, we said in English we have two types of questions. The first one is yes/no questions, the question that we ask to make sure of information, and the other one is WH questions, the question that start with when, where, why, etc. Now, if I want to form a yes-no question with these pronouns, I, they, you, we, how can we form it? We first use do, and after do we use the subject, which is I, they, you, we, and after the subject we use a verb. So we say, for example, do I work for a British company? Do you walk fast? Do they live in a big flat? Do we study English in London? Alright, so we are asking questions. Now, the answer for all these questions is with do or don't. Remember this. Any question start with do, the answer must be do or don't. You cannot say am not, or something like this. This is yes-no question. WH question is not that big difference. You just add a WH word to the beginning of the sentence. So instead of saying like do you work, if I want to ask about the place, you say where do you work? So we have WH at the beginning, followed by do, followed by subject, and after the subject we have the verb. Another example, for example, why do you study English in London? Why do you study English in London? WH is why. After why we have do, and after do we have the subject followed by verb. Here do doesn't have any meaning. You should be careful about this point. Do has no meaning when we use it in WH questions, but we need it to form this tense. Alright? That makes this tense different from other tenses. So don't forget that. Now let's move to the second form. The second form is with the other three pronouns, which are he, she, and it. He, she, it, or any singular noun, like my friend, my father, my mother, my sister, Ahmed, David, etc. So if you have any of these like subjects, he, she, it, and if you want to use it in present simple tense, you should use verb with s. So after he, she, it, we have a verb and the verb followed by s. Focus on this. Example, we don't say like he get up early every morning. He get up early. That's not correct because we have at the beginning he. So the verb should come with s. We say he gets up early in the morning. Another sentence, she sleep a lot every day. We don't say that. We say she sleeps a lot every day because we have she as a subject. Another example, it rain a lot in winter. That is incorrect. We say it rains. We add s to the verb. So focus on this. Now, there is a question here. Do we always add just s to the verb when they come after he, she, it? The answer is no. Sometimes we use s, sometimes we use es, sometimes ies, and sometimes we change the verb because it's irregular verb. Now, when do we use s, when do we use es, when do we use ies, and when do we change the verb? We have 4 rules. Rule number 1 is with words or verbs that finish or end with sh, ch, x, s. If you have a verb finishing with one of these letters, we add es to the verb. Example, wash, we don't say wash with s only, we add es. Why? Because it ends with sh. It becomes washes. Watch, it becomes watches. Miss, it becomes misses. Fix, it becomes fixes. So after he, she, it, if you want to say wash, we say washes. He washes. She washes. He watches. Alright? This is rule number 1. Rule number 2 is with y. When you have y at the end of the verb, and before y we have a consonant letter, you should delete y, and instead of y we should add ies. Example is like study. Study finished with y. Before y we have d. D is a consonant, it's not a vowel, because the vowels are 5 in English. They are A, E, I, O, and U. And D is not one of these vowels. So we delete Y and we add IES. So we say, for example, he studies with IES. Another example is play. Here we don't delete Y, we just add S. The reason is, Y is as we said, like it's finished with Y, but before Y we have A. A is a vowel, it's not a consonant. So in this case, we don't delete, we just add S. The third rule is about all other words. Every verb other than those finishing with SH, CH, X, S, and Y, we immediately add S. Example, walk, finished with K. There is no rule about K, so we just add S, walks. Work, same, works. Stop, stops, etc. And the last one is about irregular verb. There are 3 irregular verbs that we change, which are do, it becomes does, go becomes goes, and have becomes has. So we don't say, for example, he have breakfast at 10 o'clock. We say he has breakfast. She has breakfast. my father has breakfast, etc. Alright, so don't use have after he, she, it. The next point that we need to talk about is negative. How we change a positive sentence to negative. As we talked about this before, when we have I, they, you, we, in negative we use don't and then followed by verb. I don't, etc. Here, when we have he, she, it, we should use doesn't, and after doesn't we use the infinitive form of the verb. So the S is deleted. Why? Because we are using does here. Alright? So for example, he gets up early in the morning, we say, if we want to make it negative, we say he doesn't get. We delete the S. Why? Because we use doesn't here. So he doesn't get up early. She sleeps a lot every day. If I want to say it in negative form, we say she doesn't sleep a lot every day. And the last one was it rains a lot in winter. If I want to say it in negative form, we say it doesn't rain a lot in winter. Alright, so we use subject followed by doesn't, and don't forget, sorry, here the subject is he, she, it, or any singular noun. So subject, doesn't, after doesn't we use infinitive verb, no S. The last example is he has breakfast early. If I want to change it to negative, we say he doesn't have. So the verb goes back to the infinitive form. And the last point here is how to make questions in English. Here, as we said, we have he, she, it. When we use he, she, it, we use does at the beginning, followed by he, she, it, and after he, she, it, we use a verb. In this way, we are asking yes, no questions. Alright? So for example, does he sleep a lot? Does she get up early in the morning? Does it rain a lot in winter? And the answer should be does or doesn't. Alright, so focus. When we start a question with does, the answer should be does or doesn't. Alright, for example, does, yes he does, no he doesn't. Yes it does, no it doesn't. Yes she does, no she doesn't. This is yes no question. If we want to ask a WH question, same, we don't change anything here, we just add a WH at the beginning of the sentence. So, does he sleep, for example, we can say where does he sleep? Where does he sleep? We didn't change. She gets up early in the morning, we can say what time does she get up? What time does she get up? One point here to focus on is, again, the verb is infinitive. We don't use S here. Why? Because we have does. So remember this point. S, we use it just in positive sentences after he, she, it. He, she, it. Positive sentence, we use S. Negative questions, we don't use S, because we are using does or doesn't. Alright, so focus on this point. And with this point, we come to the end of the lesson today. We learned everything about present simple form, how to make positive sentences, negative sentences, and questions, and the differences between I, they, you, we, and he, she, it. Alright? If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And now I will leave you with a simple test to make sure you understand everything in the right way.